Will the Biden administration start World War III? We'll talk about it today on this edition of End Time Generation. Well, welcome back to End Time Generation. Once again, I do want to thank you for tuning in. Folks, I'm telling you, it's about to get ugly. And a lot of people, they think, well, peace and safety, Trump's going to bring a golden age and he's going to save the world from World War III. He's too late. And the Democrats, they only have a little bit of time left before they have to hand over the throne to Donald Trump. And they may on camera say, oh, look, we're going to have a peaceful transition of power. But that's just for, that's just a front. Okay. That's not what's going to happen. They're already showing us that they're not going to give a peaceful transfer of power. What they're going to do is they're going to transfer a world war over to Donald Trump, and then they're going to blame the war on him. Now, Donald Trump, during his first term, the first 4 years, he didn't start no new war, and he campaigned on no new war, and he wanted to get the Abraham Accords rolling again. And if you remember, when he was president, he stepped foot in North Korea, and we were on the verge of a nuclear war with them. Had Hillary Clinton became president, we were going to go toe-to-toe with North Korea. And that's one of the things that President Obama told President at that time, elect Donald Trump, when Trump asked him what's the most concerning threat to America. One of the things Obama said was war with North Korea. Well, Trump turned around and he ended up making peace with Little Rocket Man. He was going to turn basically North Korea into the next hot spot to go to, and he was going to, had he had been reelected, he would have turned North Korea just like it looks in South Korea right there in Seoul. And he was going to not just make North Korea great again, but he was also going to, along with the Abraham Accords, he was going to make Gaza like Singapore. But none of that happened. We ended up getting war in Gaza, and now that's spilling over into a regional war itself, with Israel getting ready to attack Iran. And Iran, who knows what's going on with the Ayatollah Khamenei, who is the supreme leader. Some say he's dead. Some say that he's not dead. And they were really hurt by the Israeli strike, because Israel did a lot of damage in retaliation. Now, Iran says they have no choice, but they need to attack. And Israel says, if you do that, it's going to be a big mistake. And, I got this feeling with everything going on in the Middle East, Israel's going to be pushed into a corner, and they're going to end up having no choice but to use nukes, which will then probably bring about the prophecy of Damascus becoming a ruinous heap. All the while, you have Russia now threatening to use nukes on the United States, because Joe Biden has given the green light to use long-range missiles from Ukraine into Russia, which is a red line that the former president of Russia, Dmitry, and Vladimir Putin both have said do not cross. And that's exactly why I said this administration wants to hand Donald Trump a war. So not only is Donald Trump going to come into a war in the Middle East, he's going to come into World War III being escalated. And folks, I'm telling you, when that happens, a lot of people say, whoa, wait a minute. We're not in World War III. Folks, World War III doesn't start when the bombs fall. That's when it stops. Okay, we are already in World War III. When you have NATO, we've got NATO troops in Ukraine fighting against the Russians already. We've had that. And now you've got North Korea. You see, that's just going to bring us into a war with North Korea. If North Korea, and I've heard this, I don't know whether it's true or not, but some of the North Korean soldiers have already been killed. And if they were to attack the United States, then we invoke Article 5, and Article 5 is when all of NATO comes together, and it's kind of like the Musketeers, all for one and one for all. You attack me or you attack my buddy, then you got to go through me, and that's exactly what the United States is wanting to do. They're itching for a war, and they want to do first strike. And now Russia has changed their nuclear policies where they can do a first strike. But the thing is Russia signed a deal with North Korea that if we go to war, you will come to the aid of the Russians. And we've done the same thing with our allies. That's why we have NATO. And then we get upset when Russia says, hey, you know what, we need some troops or we need some ammunition. And we already know that North Korea and China are allies of Russia. And I have this feeling that Turkey is going to leave NATO because they're only NATO in name only. They got our military equipment and they, are supposed to have our back. And they're the second largest nation in NATO next to the United States. But they're real chummy with Russia and China and Iran. And that's the problem because we have a pact with Israel that we are supposed to defend Israel. And what we are to Israel is what Russia is to the Palestinians. And Turkey is pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel. So what happens is if Turkey attacks Israel and we defend Israel and then we ended up going to war with Turkey, then Turkey becomes the aggressor and we can invoke Article 5 on a NATO member. And it's kind of weird because it's like allies fighting against an ally. But like I said, Turkey is only ally in name only. They're only NATO in name only. They're against the West, and they're siding over the last few years. And really, under this current administration, they have gotten really close to Iran and Vladimir Putin of Russia, which the Bible says is going to happen anyways. There's going to be an alliance between them, and they're going to come down against Israel at the Battle of Armageddon. And what we're seeing, though, is a world war expanding into soon a nuclear war. Now, look, I have another headline here. This says Russia alleges Biden risking start of World War III by giving missiles permission to Ukraine. And this is their take on it. Reacting to Biden administration's decision permitting Ukraine to use the U.S. supplied long-range missiles for striking inside Russia, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov. Now, this guy right here, Dmitry, the former president of Russia, every time this man gets near a microphone, he wants to use nuclear weapons. That's all he talks about. Let's use nukes. Let's use nukes. Let's take out the United States of America. Let's bomb the U.S. And he said that the United States is throwing oil on the fire, which he's happy about. I mean, had this guy been in power and not Vladimir Putin, we would already be using nuclear weapons like 4 years ago, because this man wants to destroy the United States. Now Putin, he's more moderate. He's more like your what Trump is to the United States. This is what Putin is to Russia. He is the MAGA, or make Russia great again. That's who Vladimir Putin is to Russia. And Dmitry, though he's not the president anymore, he's still in his cabinet, and he's got Putin's right ear. And he's more of your radicalized kind of person. And you have your moderate Muslim, then you got your radical Muslim. That's kind of like who Dmitry is. Dmitry is the radical one. He's the one that wants to take the nuclear weaponry and put it to use. I think he's just tired of it sitting there. The dude wakes up in the morning, and the first thing that he talks about is nuclear war. This dude is he's itching to destroy the United States. As per Moscow, the decision will escalate tensions and deepen the involvement of Washington in the ongoing conflict. Peskov said the Biden administration is trying to escalate the war in Ukraine till they are in power, meaning until Trump is in power. Goes on to say here, Kremlin says Biden's Ukraine missile decision would escalate war if true. Moscow, this is what Moscow says on today, November the 18th. The Kremlin said on Monday that Russia would respond to what it called a reckless decision by Joe Biden's administration to allow Ukraine to fire American missiles deep into Russia, which it said would draw the United States directly into the conflict. Now, this is where it's going to get heated up, because the moment it goes to a direct conflict, I have this feeling that the United States is going to use nuclear weapons. I don't know if we will use them directly, or we'll have Poland do it, which is a member of NATO, or one of the other NATO members. I don't know. One of them will use nuclear weapons. I got this feeling that that's the way it's going to go down. It says here, Russia has been warning the West for months how it would interpret such a decision, saying it would raise the risk of confrontation with the U.S.-led NATO alliance. The New York Times and Reuters report that Biden administration had made the decision long-range strikes, though there was no official confirmation from Washington. The decision is reckless, dangerous, amid at a change and increase in the level of involvement of the United States in this conflict, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said. He said President Vladimir Putin had made Russia's position clear when speaking in St. Petersburg in September. Putin said on September 12th that Western's approval of such steps would mean the direct involvement of NATO countries and the United States and Europe countries in a war in Ukraine, because NATO military infrastructure and personnel would have to be involved in targeting and firing of the missiles. It's obvious the outgoing administration in Washington intends to take steps to continue adding fuel to the fire and to continue to provoke tensions around this conflict, Peskov said. Now I'll leave the rest of these articles in the description below so you can read them. But folks, I'm telling you, time is running out. Jesus is coming. We're about to go to a nuclear war, and it wouldn't surprise me that if it doesn't happen between now and Christmas. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. I hope to God I am wrong, but I don't think I am. With everything that I've been reading, everything that, has been going on with them moving airplanes and submarines, nuclear capable airplanes and submarines, flying presidential planes to bunkers, doing practice runs, getting everything ready. They know Trump's about to take power, and they know Trump won't start a war. So they got to start one and hand it off to him, where he'll have no choice but to finish. And, I'm telling you, time is running out. We need to get right with God. The Bible says today is the day of salvation. Are you saved? I'll see you in the next video. God bless.